Okay.
You saw the text message that we started the class at 8:30. Okay, everybody got it, so no excuse. We were supposed to start earlier, but because of that, I tried to extend it to make more people come in. Okay. All right, so the most important function of the digestive system is the breakdown of food into particles, smallest particles, which can be absorbed into the blood circulation. So those small particles are molecules. Molecules. That's why we started with chapter 2, the chapter of basic chemistry. You understand what molecules are. They are the smallest particles of matter. And food is part of matter. So food, as you eat it, as junk as it is, it cannot get into your body unless it is broken down into smallest particles, molecules. We can pass through the intestines into the blood circulation and reach the tissues. So that's the most important function of the digestive system. Now, here on the wall, you can see this equation. Always, every chapter in biology, we always have to come back to this. So this part here is cellular respiration. This part here is photosynthesis. This cellular respiration in our bodies, animal bodies, and photosynthesis in plants. But these plants make our food. Because you see here, we have photosynthesis making glucose. And glucose is a sugar which is made in the leaves with the power of the sunlight. And then those molecules will be put together, assembled together to make long chains. And then long until they make a mass. And then that is sugar molecules, which we call the starch. If it is in bulk, we call it starch. And this starch can be stored in the form of ATP in the muscles to give you energy. So those kinds of foods are called carbohydrates. They are high energy foods that give us energy to do everything that we do. So that is the main function of the digestive system. So now let us go into the digestive system and see which are the organs of the digestive system. You have to learn it in order. If you make your learning in order, it is easier for your memory to retain it. And that's how you master it. That's how you learn it. That's how you can remember it in the test. So, you have to know the organs of the digestive system. Now, we have a diagram here. And you might not be able to read the levels, but this is a complete digestive system. This now holds the entire digestive system. So you have to know where it begins and where it ends. So the digestive system begins from your mouth. Because you put food in your mouth and then it starts its movement to reach the body. So before it can reach the body, it has to pass through the whole of this. So the digestive system is a tube. So a tube from your mouth to your rectum. So it starts from here all the way to here. This is the rectum, this is your mouth. So those are the extreme ends of the system. So if they ask you, where does the digestive system begin? It is your mouth. Where does it end? The rectum. So between the mouth and rectum, there are a lot of organs there that you have to know. Those are the organs of the digestive system. The mouth itself is the first organ. Then you come to the throat, because that's how you swallow the food. Without your throat, it cannot proceed. So the throat is right here. The throat is called a pharynx in medical terms or in technical terms. So it has to pass through the throat, swallow, and then it gets into the long tube that takes that food to the stomach. So you have to know the name of that tube. That is called esophagus. You have your test. Those who came late, you don't have the test with you, you can share with them. So we are on chapter 14, we are on page 256. So just make sure you know the spelling, esophagus, right here. Because this is not very clear, you cannot read it from there. I tried to make it bigger, but my device cannot do that. So anyway, so esophagus is the tube that transmits the chewed food which has been broken into smaller chunks from your mouth to the stomach. So the stomach is right here. This is the stomach. So then the stomach, all these organs have specific functions. Each organ has its own function. So they work together as a team to make digestion possible for the system. So the esophagus, the function is only to transmit the food to the stomach. Then the food comes into the stomach, so the stomach is a storage bag. It's like your bag. It's like bags. So this one is for storage. It stores your books and your stuff for the school. So that's similar to what the stomach is doing to you, storing that food. But the difference between this bag, the stomach, and your backside is that this one is moving, is mobile. The stomach does not stay still as this bag. As long as you put things in that, if you don't go back and move the things, nothing moves. But the stomach keeps moving. It keeps moving like this, like a washing machine, like this. Up and down, squeezing and relaxing like that. So that way, it allows the food that is stored there to mix with the gastric juices. These gastric juices are enzymes. Enzymes we learned in biology 1. And what are enzymes? Can anyone remember what we said about enzymes? What are they? Because you learn biology 1 so that you can make easy, you can find easy biology 2 because you have the background. What's an enzyme?
Enzyme break things down.
Say louder.
Enzyme break things down.
Yeah. Enzymes are chemicals. They are proteins. They are proteins that increase the rate of reaction. They make the reactions go much quickly. Like the reaction we have here is for cellular respiration and photosynthesis. It's a reaction. So you have glucose reacting with oxygen in your body. So that's a reaction that gives you carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So this reaction could take days to complete, but with an enzyme added to it, it can take fractions of a second. So that is the use of enzymes. That's why the enzymes are vital. They help the chemical reactions in our bodies to take place much faster so that everything is in time. So the food mixes with enzymes which are produced from the walls of your stomach. And these enzymes are of different kinds. Also, the wall of the stomach is containing glands. Glands are like sacs. They contain chemicals. These chemicals are called hormones. So we have glands distributed all over our body. We are going to learn all of them when we come to another chapter, endocrine system. But in the wall of the stomach, there are glands called gastric glands. Gastro means stomach. So gastric glands which are found in the wall of the stomach. So these gastric glands, they produce a chemical, an acid. We already learned acid in chapter 2 in basic chemistry. Acids and bases. Acids are very powerful chemicals because they can burn, they can break things, they can destroy things. So here they are contained in the wall of the stomach and they are released only when you eat food. So, and also they are very smart. They don't react on any food that comes into your stomach. They choose the protein foods. Proteins, like if you eat flesh, if you eat meat or beef or fish or chicken, so it helps the breakdown of those proteins into amino acids because broken proteins are built up of molecules called amino acids. So when you eat beef, they are in chunks, so they cannot be broken down without this hydrochloric acid produced from the wall of the intestine. So it helps to break down the protein to smaller molecules. Plus, there are some other enzymes that are also produced. These ones, they are not produced in the stomach, but they will be added during the trip of this food later on when we come to further along the tract. We call it digestive tract. Tract is like a pathway. Like you do track in the fields, you follow a path, you go round. So this is a digestive tract, it's a path. So when you come to beyond the stomach, the food gets into this loop here, like loop 12. So this loop is called the duodenum. So that is where most of the enzymes come and act on the food. Different types of foods, different types of enzymes. These enzymes come from an organ here, this yellow one, which is the pancreas. So the pancreas is a very important organ because it contains all the enzymes that will break all the classes of food, so that all the food that we eat will be broken into their respective molecules that can pass into the blood circulation and reach your tissues. So this is what happens. So we were talking about the stomach, like a washing machine that helps to churn the food. Churning means doing like this. If you put your clothes in the washer, it squeezes them and keeps on squeezing and relaxing, squeezing. So that way it allows the food to mix better. And also it also is part of the breakdown of the food. This breakdown is starting from the mouth when you chew food. Because you don't take food in your mouth and you swallow it like that. It is not possible. It will not go through. So you have to chew it. So the digestion starts in your mouth with the chewing. And also what is interesting is that in the mouth there are other chemicals produced from the glands which are found here. We call them salivary glands. So these glands also contain some other chemicals which act on the food to start the breakdown. There is saliva that comes from the salivary glands. Now, this salivary gland contains saliva, but saliva contains a specific enzyme. There are two enzymes which can be produced from that saliva. One is called amylase, and one is called amylase, and we have three of them: protease, amylase, and the one that breaks fat is called lipase. You will have to become familiar with this, all these terminologies that we give you. That's what makes biology difficult, because there's a lot of terms that you have to remember. But it's just by repetition. If you repeat them over and over, you will master them. You learn them like a song. So lipase acts on fats. Amylase acts on carbohydrates. Protease act on proteins. So if you eat your rice with your chicken, and the chicken is fried in oil, which is fat, so all these two enzymes will break down the respective, all the different kinds of food that you eat. You ate two classes. You ate protein from chicken, you ate rice, carbohydrate. So the saliva will start the breakdown. But it does not break it down completely. It's only like ignition. If you're going to drive your car, you turn on the ignition so that you start on the engine. And then more things will happen to push the tires to your wheels and they move your car, and then you can increase the gas, and then you increase the speed, and it goes. The same thing happens here in your mouth. So that's why saliva is important. Now, the saliva production is controlled by your nervous system. So that is the most interesting part of biology, that all the systems work together as a team. So when it comes to digestion, your nervous system comes from your brain, the central nervous system, and it tells the saliva that there is food already in the mouth. You start production, and then it will start breaking down the food. So sometimes even with the sight of food or the smell of food, saliva starts coming. So it is so well trained and it works at the right time. So the nervous system coordinates with your digestive system, and then the digestion is started. As you chew food, you break it into smaller chunks and smaller chunks. So what helps you to break the food? These are organs too. They are your teeth. So in this chapter, you have to know about the teeth, basic knowledge. We have different types, different classes of teeth. How many classes of teeth do we have? You should know that. That's common knowledge. Yes. That's the total number. But how many types? Classes. There are 4 classes. 4 classes. These ones here, look, these first ones which are big and their surface is thin and like a knife is for cutting. So you find the upper and lower. There are 2 here. They look different. If you look at yourself in the mirror and open your mouth, you'll see that they look different in their structure. These ones are called canines. The canines are 2 up here, 2 down here. Then if you start moving this way, both sides, you find ones which are not flat, not shaped with thin edge like cutting a knife. No, but they are pointing. Thick. These ones are called canines. These ones incisors, these ones are canines. So the canines, they start tearing the food, but the incisors, they cut the food. Cut and tearing are different. Nothing that is same. So when it is cut, and also the incisors help you to hold the food. Because some of the food you hold it with the teeth before it goes inside. So they help you to hold and cut. And then after they've cut in bigger chunks, then they tear it by the canines, put them into smaller chunks, called thinning the wall. And the canines, if you move both sides, upper and lower, you find the ones that are big, they are thick, and they have wide surface. And the surface is not smooth, it is jagged like your tires. It has holes, hills and valleys. So this one is called premolars. Pre means before, post means after. So premolars are the first in this class. You see that they are big, but then if you keep moving towards your throat, there are bigger ones. There are molars that are bigger than premolars. So you have molars here, premolars 2 and molars 2 of them. And the molars are the last on both sides, up and lower. So those are the different classes that you have to remember and know their function. What is the function of the molars? They grind the food. The incisors, they cut and hold. The canines, they tear. The premolars, they start the grinding. And the molars complete the grinding. Now the molars at the far end. So when the food has been acted upon, worked upon by the molars, it is completely ground enough to be swallowed. So after that, the food is pushed into your throat. What your throat does is swallow. So the throat is also controlled by your nervous system, because the throat is made up of muscles, smooth muscles. But your nervous system, your brain will tell the throat that food is already there. Start squeezing. So it squeezes the food, and the food moves into the tube, which is the esophagus, which is this one.
So,
Yes.
You say the 4 types.
Pardon?
You say the 4 types of the classes again?
Okay. The first ones are incisors. And you have the textbook, just check the spelling there. That's why I give you the textbook. Incisors, this is here.
it's on page 257. It's on page 257, it names all them.
Okay, everybody should be there. So these are the incisors, Grace. These ones. And the canines are these ones. They are pointed tips for tearing. And the premolars are big ones with large surface area, which is jagged, which is rough for good for grinding. And the molars at the end. Both lower and upper have similar classes, similar structure of teeth. And that gives you what you said, the number. The 32 is the total number. We have 32 in a mature adult. Children have less. Babies have, they start with 2 and then with 4 and 6 and so on until when they are fully grown up. Most of the time, when you're a teenage, you should have almost close by you. But when you become a young adult, you have a complete set, which is 32. So those are the functions of the teeth, and then the functions of the organs as we move along. The esophagus is only to pass, to transmit the food into the stomach. So that's what its job is. I don't know what went wrong. Okay, right here. So first the esophagus being a tube, it has walls like the pipe. If you have a hose pipe, it's a tube, it's hollow all through. But then the walls are made up of rubber, rigid, so that it can force the water to move and you can water your lawn or your flowers. So the same thing, this tube is made up of muscles. What type of muscles? Smooth muscles. In the first chapter 11, we learned about different types of muscles. We have 3 different types of muscles. The skeletal muscles, the smooth muscles, and the cardiac muscles. Cardiac only in the heart. Smooth muscles are found in organs which are tubular, they're tubes, like this one, esophagus. And skeletal, these are the ones outside here. So these, the esophagus, all the way, the whole digestive system is tube that goes through all the way through your body until here. And it is all made up of smooth muscle walls. And the muscles, when they contract, they squeeze. So, as a tube, if it contracts, it squeezes. When it squeezes the food and it swallows the food passes through, it squeezes like this. Like if you have a tube and you squeeze it, you can throw it, you can move it all the way to the end. That's what the digestive system does. So the food moves down to the stomach. Now, the movements of the esophagus are very particular. They go like this. They squeeze and release, squeeze and relax. So when they squeeze here, the food moves here. So another one here comes and squeezes here and it moves here. Squeezes here, moves here like that. So it keeps on like this. That's how the food moves down to the stomach. That movement is called peristalsis. Peristalsis. Read the book. Peristalsis spelling is P-E-R-I-S-T-A-L-S-I-S. Peristalsis. So that's the movement that squeezes the esophagus to get the food into the stomach. So when the food comes into the stomach, it is just staying there, but it is being charred. So that's called charring. So then we have also different types of digestion that you have to know for the quiz. There are 3 types of digestion. One type is the chewing, which is physical. The other type is chemical, which is the enzymes. And the third type is mechanical, like machines, like moving them down through the squeezing of the esophagus to the stomach. So you have 3 types of digestion, remember that. So now, we are going to go step by step, finish, and then review and take the quiz. Who is the timekeeper?
It is 9:10.
Huh?
It's 9:09.
Okay, we still have time. So now, the food is here in the stomach, and the stomach churns it, and then it becomes like a mass. Like you see, if you take flour and put it with water and you start like mixing it, it becomes like what do you call that? A duff. If you want to make bread or you want to make some kind of bread, they call it different names. Okay, or cookies. Then it becomes soft, and then if you put it in an oven or you put it in a frying pan, then you make different types of cookies, or you can make bread. So the same thing happens here. That duff, that mass, which is soft mix, is called churn. Now that will move down to this part of the tube, which is like a loop. You see, that loop has a name. You have to remember that. That loop is called the duodenum. Duodenum. D-U-O-D-E-N-U-M. Duodenum. Now, the duodenum is part of the digestive system, which is the next stage of the digestion, which is the most important. part of digestion. You have to put that in your mind. Because the duodenum is where digestion is completed. It was started in the mouth, continues in the stomach, and then it comes to be completed in the duodenum. So what is significant about this is because the duodenum is connected to this important organ, the yellow one, which is called pancreas. And the pancreas has all the enzymes that can break down all the three classes of food into molecules that will pass down into your body. So the duodenum is called the seat of digestion. The seat, that is the center of digestion. Because that's where digestion, which was started, is now complete. Because all the chewing and breaking down and churning and using hydrochloric acid and breaking proteins and carbohydrates and fats into small, they're not completely broken into molecules. They're just made into big chunks. So now when they come to the duodenum, then the digestion is completed. Everything becomes molecules. Because the pancreas has all the enzymes. Pancreas has all the glands that produce all the enzymes. And these enzymes are produced from the pancreas, and then the pancreatic duct, which is a tube. You can see the green tube here in the middle. It's called a pancreatic duct. A duct is also a small tube. So it will collect all the enzymes from all parts of the pancreas and then channel them into the duodenum. This is the duodenum. So the tube ends up here. So it empties all its contents, which is all the enzymes. So the three enzymes, the lipase, the protease, and amylase, they will break down all the three classes of food, the carbohydrates, the fats, and proteins. So after the food leaves the duodenum, it's done. It is done. It's complete. So what is the next? It's absorption. So absorption is done by the intestines. You see the small intestines? That's why they are so long and they are folded to fit into that small space in your belly. And they are surrounded with capillaries, which are the smallest blood vessels. This diagram cannot show you that, but you shall see it in another diagram. These are very small and microscopic. So these capillaries are attached to the wall of the intestines. So the molecules can just pass through into the blood circulation. And these capillaries become bigger, and then they become arteries or veins. Then they distribute the food to all the tissues of your body. So every single cell of your food, or your body, will get whatever food that you eat. It will come here into the cell. That's how glucose will come in here. And then oxygen will come in here from your lungs. And then they will react, the two. And then when they react oxygen and glucose here, then they will make carbon dioxide in the cells. And they'll make water. And this energy will be removed and packed into ATP, which will be stored in your muscles and in the liver for future use. Whenever you need energy to do anything, it's already there. That's why we have to eat carbohydrates. And then the carbon dioxide in the blood will come to your lungs, will breathe it out. The water, excess water, which is extra, the body does not need it because the body has 80% water in your blood. So this water will be taken by your blood to the kidneys and it will pass through the urinary tract and then you pee. That's how it happens. So you see how the body is.
It's 9:15. It's 9:15.
Okay, it's 9:15. So we are ending up here. So let us review and take a quiz. Now, we ended by all the organs of the digestive system. And let us review one more time. What is the main function of digestion? Breakdown of food into smaller particles that can be absorbed by blood. That's it. We have how many types of digestion?
3.
3 types. We have 3 types of digestion. Exactly. Physical, chemical, mechanical. Mechanical is part of the chewing and tearing machines. And chemical is the enzymes. And then the physical is moving it with energy of the muscles. Okay, then we have organs. Now, list the organs of the digestive system. You can see them still here. It starts from the mouth, it ends up in the rectum. So the mouth, the throat, the esophagus, the stomach, the duodenum, the small intestine, and the large intestine, this big one, and it ends up in the rectum. So those are all the organs of the digestive system. These are the major ones, not all. These are major ones. So these are the primary ones. We have some which are called secondary, which are also called accessory organs. These ones are not in the mainstream. They're not in the highway here. They're in the service road. They are on the sides. And these are the liver, the pancreas, the gallbladder, the appendix. Now you have to remember those for the quiz. So make sure you don't confuse this. If I said accessory organs, they're not in the mainstream, they're on the sides. That's why we call them accessory. Accessory means additional. They're secondary. So there are these organs here. The large one, this is the liver, the big one. This is the pancreas, the factory, the storage for the enzymes. And then we have the appendix here. And we have the gallbladder here. Now, I didn't have time to mention the function of the gallbladder. The gallbladder is also storage like stomach. It stores bile. And the bile is a chemical which is made in the liver. So this bile, also, it is a product of blood. When the blood cells are old, the red cells are destroyed, and then the residue from that destruction mixed with some other things make up bile. So bile is green in color. You can even see the bag is colored green. So if you look at bile like this, is green color. So that green color is what helps the digestion of fat. Fatty food that comes in the duodenum, it will also join the duodenum here to complete that digestion, to make it much more quickly. And if you don't have gallbladder, because some people have had their gallbladder removed surgically because of diseases, then you will have other complications because you cannot eat fatty foods. If you eat high foods, you will have problem symptoms. So it helps you to digest fat. So now the gallbladder. Okay. All right. We have seen all those are accessory organs. The appendix is immune system. It helps you to protect whatever you can eat with food which is contaminated. It helps to protect you from infections so that you don't get sick, even if it is virus. So you don't get problems. All right. So we are done. We are complete. We have reviewed everything. So
Mm.
okay, just take 3 minutes.